Most people have heard of slips, trips and falls, but the phrase has lost some of its meaning since it became a standard industrial term. Slips are the result of a lack of traction between footwear and floor surfaces. And trips are the result of an object stopping the movement of the foot and lower leg. Slips and trips often lead to a fall. There are two types of fall. The first type occurs on the same level, and the second involves falling to a lower level. Slips, trips and falls typically happen in such places as the galley, on wet decks, stairways, open gratings or ladders. Working at height or in a poorly lit area further increases the risk of injury.
As a marine insurance club, we deal with an awful lot of personal injury claims. Around 30% of the personal injury claims that we deal with are specific to slips, trips and falls. Now, value-wise, we're looking at tens of thousands of dollars per claim. The value to the industry as a whole can be measured in the millions of dollars per year.
For employers, they lead to a number of negative consequences, such as reduced productivity, a loss of existing clients, and higher insurance premiums. There may also be the upfront costs of medical services and the expense of repatriating and replacing the employee. Higher numbers of accidents also damage a company's reputation and make it difficult to secure future business. For employees, there are personal financial implications, such as loss of wages, out-of-pocket expenses, and the loss of long-term employment. There are also physical and mental effects, such as pain, disability, depression, and, in extreme circumstances, death. Many slips, trips and falls can be avoided by a good safety culture. Crew members should comply with safety requirements and regulations, whilst following procedures at all times. They should demonstrate safety awareness and effective response to training, as well as teamwork and strong communication. There should also be a desire to improve procedures and maintain a good safety record. We see evidence of positive safety behaviour when the correct PPE is worn and when there is good housekeeping and well-maintained equipment throughout the ship. But even with a good safety culture on board, accidents can still happen. Human behaviour and personal attitudes can also affect safety culture, leading to slips, trips and falls that would normally be avoided. Crew members can become complacent or overconfident when they're completing a task multiple times. Fatigue and laziness can lead to hazards being overlooked, and time pressure can increase the risks. When there is a rush to complete a job, it is easy to miss important safety measures. So it's important to remember that safety always comes first, whatever the task.
So today guys, I will explain how to maintain the needle gun, because the last time it was seizing up, and I will explain how to prevent it. So before using the needle gun, you need to put some oil inside it. Yeah. And oh, I put too much. So what should we do with the oil spots?
Immediately clean.
Yeah, that's right. That's the meaning of the good housekeeping.
Before starting any work, assess the dangers associated with the task. Here we see a wooden board being placed across two paint tins, so the crew member can examine a motor. a simple risk assessment would show that this is a bad idea and the wrong equipment to use. The distance from the deck and overstretching may lead to a loss of balance and could result in a fall. Before taking on a task, remember to take 5. Stop, step back and observe. Think through the task. Identify any hazards. Control hazards. And complete the task safely. Once a risk assessment has taken place, it should result in specific controls. By correctly placing the ladder and using a safety harness, the crew member ensures safe, stable and comfortable access. His effective use of risk management led to a safer approach. It prevented and controlled exposure to hazards and reduced the risk of getting seriously hurt. He was also wearing the correct protective equipment, and as a consequence, he successfully completed the task without injury. Employers have a duty to protect people in the workplace, but everyone can help avoid accidents with effective risk management. This crew member is climbing without a harness. This means there are no safety measures in place in the event of a fall.
Based on my experience as an accident investigator, I think it's very helpful to have a kind of risk assessment going on inside your head all the time to try and see the hazards and remove them before accidents occur.
Not all slips, trips and falls are so dramatic. Most come from wet decks or objects lying around. Areas should be well lit, and good housekeeping should be maintained by removing trip hazards. All spillages should be cleaned up immediately, with appropriate signage to show where extra care is needed.
The general safety rule should be, see it, sort it.
Areas where the deck is covered in non-slip paint should be identified, either by outlines or a different colour, so they are immediately apparent. Clearly identify where the deck level changes. A key component of risk management is prevention. Toolbox talks are short briefings delivered by the person in charge of a task to all personnel involved. For complicated or high-risk tasks, they should be given by a senior officer. Surprisingly, off-duty time is responsible for a relatively high number of slips, trips and falls. The relaxed atmosphere often means that an individual is less aware of the possibility for accidents and injury. Crew members typically wear comfortable personal clothing when they're not working, and this can lead to slips or trips. Wet decks, stairways and casual footwear can sometimes be a lethal combination. Each individual is responsible for the safety of themselves and their colleagues. Adhering to the following advice will prevent many accidents. Follow safety procedures in the safety management system. and develop a good safety culture on board so everyone understands basic safety and preventative measures. Identify and prevent risks, recognizing areas where accidents are most common. Maintain good housekeeping throughout the ship, and understand the value of effective risk management. Slips, trips and falls are always possible on board, but safety awareness will go a long way to reducing the risks.